I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, up and way home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I fake a smile November until opening day. Suffering baseball withdrawal around the clock. When April comes, hey, meet me down on Yawkey Way. That's when Red Sox Nation starts to rock. I'm a member of the Red Sox.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the Avid Boston Podcast, presented by AVIDBOSTON.com. For those of you staying up late watching on Periscope and Facebook Live, you can find the show uploaded to SoundCloud within 30 minutes of the conclusion of this broadcast. You can find it on iTunes by your AM commute. You can also find us on YouTube, Spreaker, Player FM, and iHeartRadio. And a little different tonight on the Facebook Live and Periscope video windows. Up above it is the link to iTunes, which I'm assuming is where the bulk of the audience comes from. And if that's the app you use, go ahead, click on it, subscribe, and you'll start getting the episodes automatically, as you do with all of your other media preferences or whatnot. So, Red Sox just capped off kind of an intense 4-game set against the Cleveland Indians, which could be, if all goes well, an ALCS preview. So, an interesting look at one another. If you're new to the show, my name is Terry Cushman, and I am joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Dave Kwiatkowski. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing good as always.
Good as always, and
good as always. I'm not doing well because I'm not perfect grammar over here. I'm doing good.
Okay, yeah. If my English teacher saw me, ever subscribe to this, I'd probably be in big trouble. But also joining us, as always, Austin Hartsfield, and you can find his show, the Double Coverage Podcast, on both SoundCloud and iTunes. Austin, how are you?
I'm here and I'm alive, so that's positive.
Okay.
Wow, that's great.
I feel like we're getting more depressing with our intros.
No, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's just get right into it. I'm going to try to get through this set as quickly as I can, and then we'll get into the next segment. Game one, that was a battle of two recent Cy Young winners, Kluber versus Porcello. Red Sox struck first. Bogaerts drove in 2 runs, and then in the second inning, Benintendi drove in Bradley. Red Sox are up 3-0, and then Melky Cabrera and Michael Brantley both get the Indians on the board. Greg Allen hit his first home run, ironically, of his career off Rick Porcello. That made the score 5-3. Cody Allen comes in relief, and Bogaerts tried to get the rally going by driving in Mookie, but Red Sox fell a little short, 5-4. Rick Porcello's final line was 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned, and he struck out 6. Game 2, Shane Bieber, no relation, I'm assuming, and Nathan Eovaldi was the matchup. Both were scoreless through 3. And then in the 4th inning, Eovaldi kind of wavered a little bit, and Greg Allen, who kind of made a name for himself this series, drove in Jason Kipnis. Melky Cabrera also soloed, and Brantley drove in Gomes. Indians were up 4-0. Mitch Moreland kind of got the Red Sox on the board with a sac fly, drove in J.D. Martinez. Xander Bogaerts got to third on that play, and then excuse me, I got that backwards. But the Bogaerts hit was before Moreland's, but let's see, I think it was Martinez. Nope, Kinsler drove in Bogaerts on a ground out. That brought the score 5-3. Jan Gomes hit a solo shot off of Tyler Thornburg, and Indians take that one 6-3. Eovaldi gave up 10 hits and 5 1/3, 4 runs all earned. Game 3, Red Sox finally coming out. Carlos Carrasco and Brian Johnson both squaring off. Edwin Encarnacion, and his first at-bat off the disabled list, hit a 2-run shot off of Johnson, but then in the bottom half of the first, J.D. Martinez drove in Andrew Benintendi. Bogaerts in the 4th inning hit a solo off of Carrasco, and then it all went to hell for Carrasco. Swihart drove in Kinsler. Bases then got loaded. Andrew Benintendi hit an explosive bases-clearing triple on a ball ripped down the left field line. Edwin Encarnacion struck again in the 5th, another 2-run shot. That got the score within 2 runs. Sox were up 6-4, and then Mitch Moreland hit a 2-run shot. Bogaerts hit his second home run of the game. Martinez had an RBI, and Johnson went 4 1/3. Gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 3 strikeouts. Workman, Barnes, Kelly, and Brazier were all scoreless in there. And then finally today, the David Price show, he was squaring off against a guy named Gregory Plukto. And both were scoreless through 4, kind of matching each other tit for tat. And then in the 5th inning, Plukto had a similar inning as Carrasco the day before, where the bases got loaded. Swihart drove in 2, bases got reloaded again. Then Bogaerts drove in 2, bases get reloaded again. Nunez drives in 2, a 6-run inning. J.D. Martinez in the following inning hit a RBI single to drive in Mookie. That brought the score to 7-0. It didn't change after that. David Price continued to steamroll all the way through the 8th inning. Only gave up 3 hits all day. Struck out 7, lowered his ERA to 3.5. Thornburg closed out the game. Gave up 2 hits. Had some nervous moments, but no earned runs. 7-0 again, the final. So the Red Sox salvaged a split and 2-2, and will square off again next month in a 3-game set. And Dave, over to you.
So anybody that is, great job, Terry, by the way, as always.
Thanks.
For anybody that is new to this or hasn't been on a couple episodes, we're doing a new segment that will be along for the rest of time with this podcast, which is shout-outs and call-outs, where we're going to shout out our MVPs of the series or players that we thought did a job worthy of a little bit of a recognition, and we're going to call out some guys on the team that struggled here or there. And leading this off will be Austin with our shout-out. So, Austin, who are you shouting out?
Let's shout out the guy that probably deserves it more than anybody. David Price goes 8 strong innings against a very good Indians team, not missing anybody of note in their lineup. Looked really good, only allowing 3 hits all day, 7 Ks, and also 5-0 in his last 7 starts with a 1.5 ERA. Whip under 1. What more could you ask for from the guy?
I was going to shout out David Price, actually, but Austin had to have him, so I was like, yeah, you shout out David Price. Kidding. All right, so my shout out goes to Blake Swihart, and there might have been a couple other guys that might have had some bigger moments, but I was really impressed with Swihart. He only played the latter 2 games, which is the ones that we ended up winning, ironically, because those are the games Sandy had been winning. He had a hell of a streak. But anyway, Swihart was 3 for 8, had 3 RBIs. Today he wasn't even scheduled to start. Moreland kind of had a knee contusion after kind of sliding into the wall there, or whatever you want to call it, where Guerin Austin and some of the NESN people sit. Had to leave the game, and I was just really impressed. He had some key hits. He did a nice job yesterday catching Johnson. And the interesting thing today, too, was Swihart obviously came in at first because that's where Moreland was. You have Nunez across the way at third. Not your two best defensive players in terms of, compared to a Gold Glover like Moreland. And I guess we haven't really been strong defensively at third anyway, but I don't know. He was my shout out today, and I'm just glad that Swihart's got a semi-prominent role on the team, because he was in limbo, throughout spring training, and didn't really have much of a role in April or May, and it's just good to see him making an impact.
Yeah, it's huge. It's nice. He's going to have a bigger role next year when Vasquez gets traded as well. And my shout out is for Xander Bogaerts. He's been on absolute fire recently, the past about 12 games. He's been raking. He had multiple home runs in this series, clutch RBIs. Like today, he hit a nice little double over Jose Ramirez there at third base with the bases loaded. He leads the league in batting average when 3-1 in the count. He leads the league in batting average with the bases loaded. He has 3 grand slams on the year. He's just been crushing. He's up for a career year, and we're going to play Tampa next, where he continues to dominate another bad team. So it's great to see him just playing as well as he is.
Absolutely. I shouted him out last week, and he had a pretty similar week, maybe even a better week this week. And like I said, and like we have been saying, he's just been phenomenal. There hasn't been like that cliff that he falls off of in the second half, and just glad to see.
And he's doing it with both sides. Like, he's doing it with the glove and he's doing it with the bat, which is really encouraging to see from Bogey.
Absolutely. And you kind of took exception to my tweet last night too, where I said he's
not happy. He's got me all riled up.
He's got the most beautiful swing, and the thing that with Bogaerts' home runs, it's always a moonshot that goes high over the monster. Very rarely does it end up in the monster seats, and I think that's what I get so mesmerized by. And Benny is a lefty, and so most of his shots go out to right, which aren't quite as majestic, but obviously, he gets it done.
They're like 100 feet further.
True. I don't know. It's just over the monster. Like, that thing's huge. I don't know. It's just...
Bogey's swing makes me nauseous. It's so lanky, so long. It reminds me of Daniel Murphy, actually. Or
Yeah.
David Murphy, sorry, with the Rangers, when he was with the Rangers between like 2008 and 2010. But, I mean, I like his swing. It's not my favorite, obviously. But,
Yeah.
you want to jump into call-outs?
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, we can jump into call. Lead the way, Austin.
Heath Hembry had 1 appearance in the entire series, 2 innings of work after coming in for Brian Johnson. BJ left a runner on base. Hembry allowed him to score. Not only that, but he also allowed a home run that allowed both of those runs to score. I'm getting more and more discomfort with every single appearance from Hembry, so that's all I have to say on that one.
Yeah.
He's getting there. It's his turn in the bullpen to not do well, so now Brazier will be lights out and Kelly will be, and then somebody else will flip-flop soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we'll get into the bullpen shortly here. I definitely have some things I'd like to talk about. Let's see, my call-out will go to Nathan Eovaldi, who I feel like is just progressively kind of getting more and more mediocre, and you hope it doesn't get much worse than mediocre. But he had those first 2 starts, first one against the Twins, second one against the Yankees, phenomenal. Went 7-8 innings both times. And then